So, Rory, you disappeared for a little bit. You had your lovely little holiday gallivanting with all your football friends. But while you were away, the news that Poch got sacked was announced. And now we already know who your next manager is going to be. Maresca from Leicester coming over. Before we get speaking about him, how did you feel about the Pochettino news?
I think it was the wrong decision. I think it's clearly the wrong decision. It's not that I like Mauricio Pochettino. I don't like him, in fact. But what I think is unequivocal, like this isn't subjective, this is fact. Mauricio Pochettino, however highly you rate him, however lowly you think his position is, in the scale of world managers, Mauricio Pochettino is unobjectively top 20 managers in the world, top 15 managers in the world, whatever you think. And therefore, his word at Chelsea should be listened to. I didn't ever want him at Chelsea, and there were points throughout the season, various points, culminating in that huge, embarrassing defeat at Arsenal, where I think he should have been sacked. But they allowed him to persevere. They allowed him to find his rhythm. They allowed him to find his feet. And by the end of the season, we looked great. We finished 6th. We put
Tactically, we're getting better.
Mate, 5 wins on the spin is impressive for anyone. Like, until kind of Guardiola and Klopp redefined football, 5 wins on the spin was huge.
Yeah.
And I would say that Chelsea winning 5 under Pochettino towards the end of the season is the first time that we would have won 5 in a row for donkey's years, like for ages. Also, the football that we played under Pochettino at the end was good, you know. It was the best football that we played since, say, Eden Hazard was in the team. So sacking him when we did, for the reasons that we did, and I think it's fair to, we can go on to the reasons. What do you
think those reasons were?
I would say front and centre, and obviously I'm biased here, so getting your feelings on this is going to be very important. But my natural inclination as to why they sacked him is, it basically revolves around, we can use Conor Gallagher as the example, right? He is interchangeable with Trevor Chalobah. He is interchangeable with Amanda Broja, but Amanda Broja is different because he doesn't have the same emotional attachment and he isn't as good. But Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher are 2 of the reasons I believe he was sacked. I think that Chelsea found rhythm and played very well as soon as Trevor Chalobah came into the team. No player for Mauricio Pochettino played more minutes for Chelsea than Conor Gallagher. I think the board have said those 2 players are going to be sold. It's almost a given that those 2 players are going to be sold. Pochettino went, are you insane? One of them has been integral to Chelsea finding a winning formula. The other one has played more minutes for us than anyone else and has captained us at various points. You cannot sell those players.
That feels... I get the angle, and I could see why... Go on.
No, go on.
No, I kind of get the angle, and I could see how that could come about. The manager because he spoke about having dinner with the guys from Clear Lake at the end of the season, and he spoke about it quite positively at one point. And if he's been told that you can't keep certain players, I can understand a manager going, I don't like this. Tuchel had the same issues. I don't like being told what to do with my players, especially players that I want to keep. And also, he'd probably be thinking, if the fans knew about this, they'd be on my side as well. And I feel it's kind of like, if this decision's getting made for me, what other decisions will get made for me? And ultimately, I'm going to lose my job based off decisions by other people.
What's happening is there is a vision for Chelsea, and the vision doesn't revolve around creating the best football team to accrue silverware. The vision is create financial gain. Squeeze the club for everything it's worth. And we have a situation where you've got like Win Stanley.
You not have to be successful to do that.
I'm terribly sorry to interrupt your clip, but I have some very important news for you. Super 6 is continuing through the Euros. There is a chance to win 100 grand on 4 separate occasions. There are 4 rounds of fixtures where you could win £100,000. So make sure that you download the Super 6 app. It won't cost you a penny. The link is in the description below. And check this out. There is a special Jamie Carragher head-to-head. And if you beat Jamie Carragher, which I'm sure you believe you can do, one of you will win £20,000. There is £20,000 guaranteed for one of you who beat Jamie Carragher. It really is that simple. Download the Super 6 app. Links in the description. Enjoy the rest of the clip. No, of course you don't. You can have a situation where players will increase in value simply by being footballers, simply by being Premier League footballers.
Cole Palmer's done it this season already.
Yeah, Cole Palmer's done it through
individually successful.
Yeah, but you're talking about as a club, they have to be successful, right?
Yeah, as a club, Cole Palmer demonstrates, you're right, Miles, Cole Palmer demonstrates that as a club you don't need to be successful.
About there, yeah.
No, it's true though. No, it's true though. I understand what you mean.
Cole Palmer demonstrates that as a club you don't need to be successful for the individual price to go up. But I also think that you can have a situation, I remember likening it once to the London property market today compared to, say, the 90s. Like when I was a kid, if you bought a house in Kensal Rise, you would have bought that house for 80 grand. Say you got ripped off then. You got massively ripped off. You bought a house on the avenues for 120 grand. You've massively overpaid. It's worth 80, you've paid 120. Today it's worth 2 million. So it don't matter, does it?
So even though you got ripped off, it's worked out.
Exactly. So if we've overpaid for the club, I think Bowley and Clearlake have overpaid for the club. If there is an exponential rise of football and European sport and the unregulated nature of European football clubs, that they can go up and up and up, it's almost irrelevant. Like McKola and Mudryk today could be worth more money.
Would that not make sense, though, if they were kind of stockpiling the best youngsters in your academy, whereby then you could get that 100% profit off them?
Yeah.
Does that
there is
kind
that
of
as well,
when you're spending 120 million on a player and then...
No, that's happening, though. We're spending fortunes on 15-year-old Brazilians who nobody's ever heard of. Or I've never heard of.
So do you think that they've got rid of Pochettino?
Because of principle.
Okay, but
because of a disagreement between board and manager, rather than form.
But okay, that's fine. But I'm touching more on the financial gain, like you just said. So do you think in their heads they're thinking, okay, cool, Pochettino is a good coach, is a great coach, but they believe in this other manager's philosophy who will bring the best out of these youngsters, who can bring up the value of them?
I don't believe that. I really don't.
So you don't believe they wanted to sack him?
That's quite but
you don't believe they wanted to get rid of Poch?
Miles's approach here is one of nobility. They believe in Maresca more than they believe in Pochettino. They can't.
But what you're kind of saying is they didn't want to sack him until he went, nah, you're not selling Chalobah.
Yeah, I think
you're not making decisions for me.
I think basically the club have a vision, and Winstanley and Stewart have a vision, which is create, sell players, bring other players in, develop them, sell, make money. Nobody can stand in the way of that. So when Pochettino goes, hold tight, you can't sell Gallagher. You specifically can't sell Gallagher to Tottenham. You cannot sell Trevor Chalobah. They're on about Chalobah to West Ham.
Chalobah's been spoken about to
Man United
as well.
That's crazy.
I mean, do you know what I found amazing about Man United? Well, and Tottenham are.
But see, where he's proven kind of right here is as well, because I know I kind of disagree with you on that point about raising value of players and things like that sometimes, because I can't see how you buy Caicedo for 125 million, expect to make a huge
it's not only him, no, it's Andre Santos.
Yeah, but then there's also, you could look at, if they get, because there's talk about them getting Tosin Adarabioyo on a free.
Yeah.
To shout Trevor Chalobah.
Exactly.
So now all of a sudden it makes sense.
That's the perfect example.
So you're gutted about Poch getting sacked. Gutted is the wrong word.
It's the wrong decision. It's the wrong footballing decision. I don't like the man. I never really wanted him at Chelsea.
But you thought he turned it around a little bit and he probably deserved it.
And he finished sixth in the league.
What about the fan base? Did the fan base believe that?
I think most people thought it was ludicrous to sell him.
I've seen some fans online, and again, I follow the YouTubers, so I have a very small sample size of Chelsea fans, and they're probably not. If you want a proper opinion of the match-going fans, are probably not the ones. But like a lot of the YouTube guys and the people are happy that he's gone. I see clips of them kind of celebrating, and I find that weird as well.
I think that's just.
I think the vast majority, don't like Pochettino. He is the public face of Tottenham. He represents Tottenham more so than any other player of that era, aside from maybe Harry Kane. So most people don't like Pochettino. The problem is he did it by the end of the season. Chelsea finished sixth, made it to a cup final, made it into Europe. He can't be sacked. Like we were breathing down. We finished above Newcastle. We finished above Man United. We were breathing down the necks of Tottenham, and we made it to a cup final. Ultimately, he did his job, and he shouldn't have been sacked. And then you look at the players that we were and then you look at the managers that we were linked with. If we were replacing Pochettino with Ancelotti, you go, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
bruv. De Zerbi, Thomas Frank at one point. I mean, get a grip.
De Zerbi's...
I was mad. I didn't mind De Zerbi. I was mad when I heard the Thomas Frank linked to United. My head went.
Yeah,
Thomas Frank.
You don't want that.
Especially when I want to...
It's like I don't want
to make about United, but I want to keep Ten Hag. And you're going, they want to sack him to talk to Gareth Southgate and Thomas Frank. I feel like I'm going,
what are you talking about? Right? How has nobody in the boardroom got any sense? How can you possibly say... How can anybody, regardless of what you think... Personally, nobody in the world believes that Thomas Frank is a better manager than Mauricio Pochettino. Nobody in the world believes that Roberto De Zerbi is a better manager than Mauricio Pochettino.
I think some people do.
They can't.
It's because of the new. It's a new fashion now, isn't it? Yeah. It's a new kid on the block.
You know, this is interesting. Help me understand this, right? Help me comprehend this. I'm going to ask the question totally fairly, but convince me. I feel like in football. I'm probably wrong here because everybody seems to disagree with me. But in football, people seem to really rate people in football who have done literally nothing. And
based
be quite
potential
snide.
Or what you think they can be.
Just let's face it, Roberto De Zerbi has huge accolades within the football community. Right? People love him. Geezer's done nothing. With Jose Mourinho, Geezer, who's done everything, gets fairly snide reviews.
Yeah, because the game's moved on from Jose Mourinho though.
Talking about the new thing and the new in thing, Enzo Maresca looks like being the new guy. Started off at City, kind of looks like a weird blend of Ten Hag and Pep in his face as well. How did you feel when they appointed him as a rival fan?
You know what?
Before we go to Rory.
It's an admission that we're not rivals anymore. I don't think you can phrase it like that.
Why? What do you mean?
Yeah.
How are we footballing rivals anymore?
always be
how
rivals,
can we be? We're rivals.
always be rivals.
No, but let him make his
We're
point.
traditional rivals. We're traditional rivals. The fans will always have a rivalry. We could be relegated. You could win the Champions League, and we'll be rivals. Like Chelsea and Leeds are rivals, but we aren't rivals for silverware in the way that we once were.
Yeah, but I don't think you could say that, because there was always a point, even when you was winning all your silverware and we wasn't, there was still a rivalry between Arsenal.
You accrued 89
Did you feel
points.
like that was a good appointment? Did you feel like, I'm loving that appointment?
Of course.
Yeah, I looked at it and I thought, wow, because I know I've seen.
Because you might answer his question. You like, you
Arsenal
might
accrued
prove him
89
right.
points. Arsenal accrued 89 points last year.
Listen.
Chelsea just employed a manager who got sacked by Palmer in Serie B 3 years ago.
Yes.
Like,
And
how
also
can we be
ended the season pretty disastrously.
But
with
what?
Leicester.
Yeah,
Just stumbled over the line.
Yeah, but he got it done over the line at the end of the day. But what I take funny from this is that Chelsea fans, they looked at Arsenal's process and they looked at Arteta and all these other things and laughed at him and said, look at this, your process and your you got Pep's cone boy, etc., etc. Now they've gone and done exactly the same thing what Arsenal's done. Got Pep's
homeboy.
Pep's homeboy. They say they want to start with the youth and do phases and have a build up and a style of play, etc., etc. So I'm looking at them thinking, okay, Chelsea's going down the Arsenal route. But if you say that to a Chelsea fan now, they're not going to like it.
No, I think they might not like it, but
it's the truth,
I mean,
though.
it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But you know what I think's a problem, and it's not only a problem for Chelsea. It certainly is a problem for Chelsea, but it's also a problem maybe for Arsenal, and it's demonstrated by Arsenal the fact they didn't win the league. What's wrong with having your own identity? Like, ultimately, Arsenal, I'm speaking really broadly here, right? Arsenal probably not going to win the league because ultimately what you are is a tribute act to Man City.
Oh, just Pep's just that good.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola is that good, and Mikel
that's all it
Arteta,
is.
however good Mikel Arteta can be, he's always going to be a B-Tech Guardiola because he's not Guardiola. However good Maresca can be, he
say
can only ever
B-Tech,
be a
but-
B-Tech. No, but you could. The way that you beat Guardiola is to change football yourself. Don't just try and be a carbon copy tribute act of.
But that's what you're doing though.
Yeah, of
that's
course.
what it looks like what you're not going to do.
It's stupid. Did you read? Did you see in the Times yesterday? It's a great article, man.
You don't read the time.
In the Times,
I do. I just read the stocks.
Martin Samuel speaking to Carlo Ancelotti, and Ancelotti was like, "I don't understand what all this philosophy is about."
Yeah, he's not
but
philosophy.
Ancelotti-
Carlo Ancelotti is the
Opposite.
archetype.
He was like, my
He's
responsibility
chaos.
is to win games, and
And to make my players
fixture,
play in comfortable
every
positions.
fixture that I go into, I work out a way of winning that game. So sometimes I defend, sometimes I attack, and he spoke. The example he used, he played De Zerbi's in this. It's such a good article. I recommend it to anyone. He played De Zerbi's Shakhtar Donetsk. And Shakhtar were this brilliant team, full of pressing and attack and always lively, always on the front foot. He went, yeah, we went there and we were a bit worried about them because we knew they were good and they loved pressing. So we basically just let them have the ball and sat back and they didn't know what to do and we beat them 5-0. That's a good manager, right? If he was like, well, we're going to go there and press them, they'll probably beat you. Like, the important thing
there's
is...
videos of like, who was it in the Swindon? Do you remember when Swindon played City? And they tried to counter press City and they tried to play out from the back
and got
against
killed.
Man City.
Got killed.
And they just got...
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing this?
What are you doing?
You're doing it to the inventor of the system.
Like, you had these League One or wherever they were, centre-backs trying to play out from the back.
And they got fucking Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez is like charging at them. They're like, fuck off, mate, you're faster than anyone I've ever
It
met.
makes sense. Like, hoof that shit.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
also, you know, if you went long against them, your chances are, if they just put two massive geezers up front and hope for the best.
That's what kind
they
of
might
United
beat
did
them.
against them.
But what Luton did.
But with Maresca though, from a rival perspective, and someone who's got a manager that came from that Pep school, I do look at it on the flip side of the coin, thinking, Chelsea might get it right. They might.
Have they got the players to
Based
do that
on what,
already?
though, Mark?
No, because he's come from that same school as Pep Guardiola.
Right, okay.
That's
so,
what I'm thinking.
So
because
it's
then-
that. It's literally his associate. So you're rating him
And
based
because
off
what he's done for
it's not
Leicester.
only
Leicester was good
you.
in the
Like, I think
Championship.
society is doing this, and certainly Chelsea have done this. We're basically rating him off his association with Guardiola.
There is some
it's fucking crazy.
there is some
Not really.
evidence there with the Leicester thing. Although
They won 6 of their last 14 games.
end of the season it didn't end particularly well, although they still got over the line.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great time at Parma.
I'd get him promoted with Leicester. Like this is the same as winning the league with Paris Saint-Germain.
Don't do that, Rory, man. You've got to give him his flat. That's a championship is the hardest league in the world.
Not for Leicester.
Yeah, but at the same time, not for Leicester, but they almost bottled it at one point.
It'd be like me saying
Also, you've
League
seen
One,
some big
League
clubs
One.
not come up.
Yeah, exactly.
Seen some big clubs not
go down, and then they've come up.
We talk about those clubs, some of the clubs in the championship.
Not come up, but you haven't seen a team with the players that went down at Leicester that stayed there.
Yeah, that helped. Obviously, that helped. And like I said, that's the reason why I'm thinking, okay, cool. He might do good for Chelsea, but at the same time, Rory. You got to give him a little bit of.
How did you end up with Enzo Maresca? Was there
at one point, wasn't it? Do you remember McKenna was the front runner at one point?
So that feels the same though. You've got a very small sample size of what he's done.
That feels
because he was linked with United. I was a bit.
McKenna for the Chelsea job is absolutely insane. I'm full of admiration for Kieran McKenna. What he's done in 2 consecutive seasons is mind-blowingly good. But I mean, what are we talking? Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, but it is
the Ipswich manager who's never managed in the Premier League coming to a club who 3 years ago were the champions of Europe and the world.
It's the same
what are we talking
now.
about?
It's the same with your manager now.
Some United fans criticise Ineos for having not made a decision at the moment and say having made a decision either way kind of shows strength and shows positive. So do you kind of respect them for making that decision?
No, I actually respect Ineos for now. It looks like they're having issues because I believe that. Do you think this is true? If Manchester City had won the FA Cup 3-0, Ten Hag's already gone.
I don't know.
Do you think that's fair?
I feel like I would like it to be the case that wouldn't one result wouldn't affect it. Because if what you're saying is true,
the Guardian brief?
It's very Glazer-like.
But I think what's his name? Jacob Steinberg briefed in the Guardian. No, he's
a Chelsea reporter, pretty much, isn't he?
No.
More than he's a United. West Ham.
West Ham. He's a West Ham fan. But Steinberg reported in the Guardian a couple of days before the cup final that he was gone anyway.
But it felt like that came from a brief through like his connections elsewhere. You know, like if Chelsea were looking at a manager and he found out they had spoken to them. Now they could have spoken to people and kind of weighed up their options, but I still think it undermines the manager.
I think Chelsea basically. Getting it done now, if we're going to sack Pochettino, is probably a good thing. And look, I am not that enthused by Maresca, but I like the idea of an Italian manager. We've got a great relationship with Italians. I desperately want it to work. By the time the season comes around in August, I'll be singing Enzo Maresca's Blue and White Army. Like I'm up for it. I'm up for it. But he's been over promoted.
What would the targets be for him?
And he's got a 5-year contract.
What do you think the target should be for him?
The targets for him should be, oh boy, get identity first and foremost and a playing style, and get these players like Pochettino. He got them playing and getting him winning results.
I think he needs silverware.
I know. Chelsea. No, that's the thing. Chelsea fans, they
it's not about Chelsea, man. It's about Clear Lake. This is Clear Lake.
Chelsea will be going. People will be going to check Rory soon. It's been 4 years without a trophy, Rory. That's going to start happening.
Of course,
we've never gone 2 years. We have, since 2003-04 is the last time we went 2 consecutive years without silverware.
Yeah, but listen,
so we're allowed to demand. You know the way Real Madrid could go, we won a European Cup.
Of course,
we're allowed to back.
Yeah,
we're allowed.
But your owners just gave this new guy a 5-year contract. Yeah,
yeah.
Which
is a huge commitment.
Yeah, so basically
they gave Pochettino 2.
Yeah, exactly. So they believe that they believe in his.
They gave Potter the same, so not obviously.
They must like just making big payouts.
Hey, boys. Oh God, I don't know. It's not my club.
I think. Do you know why I say he needs silverware? Not because of Maresca. It's very harsh to put this on Maresca. The reason why I think Maresca needs silverware though is not his fault. It's the ownership's fault. This is the ownership's 6th manager. The
Are you saying if Poch won the cup, was it Carabao Cup year in the final?
Yeah.
He's still
Liverpool.
there.
No, I think he would be gone because he wasn't sacked for footballing reasons.
I partly think that Poch wanted to leave anyway.
Because of the ownership.
Yeah, and I just don't feel like the Chelsea fans really took to him.
So is that not worrying then?
Yeah, so you feel that as a manager.
Bunch.
Yeah,
so is that not worrying then? If a couple of managers are going through now and they're going, I can't work with these.
I honestly don't. I honestly have no understanding as to why any manager who we may admire. If you were Kieran McKenna. On one level, I think the Chelsea job, if you were offered the Chelsea job, of course you take it because no disrespect to Ipswich, they're a big club in some way. They've won European silverware. They certainly deserve their place in the Premier League and I'm happy to see them back. But you have to take the Chelsea job, right? You just have to. But on another level,
chance might never come again.
on another level, you'd look at the Chelsea job and go, not for all the tea in China, my friend.
Yeah, not on your Nelly. Yeah, it does strike me as managers getting in there, Tuchel doing it, like trying to work with them and being like, oh.
So Adam asked me, like, what do I think Chelsea's expectation is when he's next season? What does he?
Champions League.
What do you think? I'd say top 6.
I think silverware's a dream. I think
Silverware or Champions League.
He'll take Champions League. 100%.
Well, I'd always prioritise silverware. I think the ownership will always prioritise top 4. Top 4 just feels impossible, though. Like, it feels impossible. Whereas an FA Cup, maybe a League Cup, maybe.
Yeah, you could do because you got in with Pochettino.
Top 4 to me just feels a million miles away. It just feels a million miles away.
You
never
always
know.
feel like that.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I never used to.
No, but I mean, fans always feel like that after a bad season. You always feel like things are a million miles away until you have a few good months.
I just
oh, we're going to win the league.
I just don't see where. Ultimately, for Chelsea to make it into the Champions League, one of the 5 teams that finished above us is going to have to drop out, and Manchester United and Newcastle are going to have to not improve. I don't see how that happens.
Yeah, but you never know with this new manager, his new style. You might tear it up. You might turn it.
You might be top at Christmas.
Pass.
You might
die.